Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we will be talking about who would win in a fight between the Flash and Quicksilver. And we all know the answer is going to be Quicksilver.
No one, even the biggest Quicksilver fan does not believe that.
Except the biggest Quicksilver fan knows that his mutant physiology gives him greater strength than the Flash. So we will see how this goes. We will see how this goes, sir.
This is a foot race.
This is going to be one of the biggest upsets in Dynamic Duel history. And I suspect that by the end of this, Johnny DC will be crying by the end. And I'm going to laugh because it's going to be funny to me.
I'm going to be like, yeah, dude, what would you expect?
We'll see.
That's how I'm going to be.
Okay, so before we get into the main event where we talk about Flash vs. Quicksilver, we're going to get into the news of the past week, comic book movie news. So we'll be talking about the Flashpoint director news.
Right.
Yeah, some Venom movie news with Tom Holland. The villain has been cast in the Shazam movie as well as the Wizard, so we'll be talking about that. Mm-hmm. And we'll also be giving some brief thoughts on the Runaways television series and the Black Lightning pilot show.
And don't forget, there was also a Cloak and Dagger extended sneak peek.
Oh, I forgot to say that, yeah.
That we'll also be talking about.
Right. And they got a release date as well, so we'll talk about that. So we want to give a quick congratulations to Tim Brown, who answered last episode's question of the week correctly. Well, not correctly. He gave our favorite answer, I should say. So the question that we asked last week to you guys was, who do you think would be the perfect director for the Black Widow movie? And he answered with Catherine Bigelow, which I have to say...
was a perfect answer.
That was the perfect answer.
We asked this question, and I didn't even really think about it, too much.
Right.
But, Catherine Bigelow... she's probably the top female director in Hollywood.
Right, yeah, she's won multiple Oscars, and her work on spy movies such as Zero Dark 30 would make her absolutely perfect for a Black Widow film.
And I love The Hurt Locker. It's it's such a good film. It had me on the edge of my seat in the movie theater when I was watching the entire film.
Yeah, and if Hawkeye, co-stars with Scarlett Johansson in a Black Widow movie, he already has experience. It would just be, in a perfect world, Catherine Bigelow would be the director of the Black Widow movie, especially since she's other than Patty Jenkins, she's one of the only other major female directors in Hollywood that's doing action films at the moment. So I like that way better than my initial pick. I was thinking more along the lines of someone who I was a fan of, who had directed two of my favorite James Bond movies, which is Martin Campbell. And he directed Casino Royale, which I love. He also directed Green Lantern, but we won't hold that against him. But, it just goes to show that he does have some comic book experience as well, in addition to spy movies. He also directed Goldeneye, which I loved back in the 90s. So, but I have to say my thought was still not as good as Catherine Bigelow.
My choice was the guy who directed the first Mission Impossible movie. And for some reason, I am totally blanking on his name right now. Brian De Palma.
De Palma, yeah.
Just because that is one of my favorite all-time spy movies. It was just really complex, and I think the tone would be really good for a Black Widow film.
Yeah.
But I love Catherine Bigelow too. That's honestly that's my number one choice right now.
Which is why Tim Brown, you get the no prize for this week. So we'll go ahead and draw you up a no prize and post it to our social media with your name on it. So congrats for that. We'll go ahead and ask another question of the week later on in this episode, and if you guys answer it correctly, or I keep saying correctly, if you guys give our favorite answer, we'll go ahead and...
and my favorite answer is the correct answer.
We'll try you up a no prize. So look forward to that later on in this episode.
Yep.
So
to the news!
To the news!
So Variety is reporting that Warner Brothers is apparently in really far and deep negotiations with directors John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein to direct the Flashpoint film.
And they wrote Spider-Man Homecoming.
They wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, which to me is okay, so I'm not sure how I feel about this news, honestly.
Uh-huh. It is a mixed bag.
It's very mixed bag. I haven't seen Vacation yet, but I heard not good things. And Game Night, it's the other film that they've directed. I don't think that's come out yet. I haven't.
Oh yeah,
I really don't know anything about it, honestly.
Game Night. Did you see the trailer?
No.
It's basically these friends are doing like a role-playing game. They have a game night every week or something. They have a role-playing game, and like some actual tragedy happens during the game, and they think it's part of the game, but I don't know. It's stuff. It has I think it has Jason Bateman and oh god, what's her name? Christine Palmer from Doctor Strange. How come I can remember that name? Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Yeah,
and she looks funny in it. So I don't know. It looks like a good film, honestly. I'm hoping that Vacation was the fluke, because their work on Spider-Man: Homecoming and at least the trailer for Game Night looks pretty good.
Yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming was a well-written film, and I think they would do a rewrite of Flashpoint. It's sort of unclear, but directorial-wise, like they're not the biggest names that come to mind. You know, to me, it's more of like a Marvel approach.
Yeah,
you know, where you're trying to
like
nab
a Russo brother.
like Russo, you're trying to nab an up and comer. But like for me, Warner Brothers has always been about like big time directors. Christopher Nolan. You know, Zack Snyder, I think, was a really fantastic director.
He was a big name at the time, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. After coming off of 300 and stuff, you know, David Ayer and, you know, the films that he had done. What was the Brad Pitt war film? I forgot the name of it.
Fury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, just big name directors. These are not big name directors.
Well, here's the thing. Big name directors aren't always fans of the material. So, like, I think what Marvel does is they take directors who have somewhat proven themselves in indie films, but are most importantly fans of the character. They come with the right approach to the character as opposed to having a large scale background. That may be what DC is doing here.
Yeah, and for all I know, maybe that's the right approach, because big name directors probably also means in some instances big egos, you know, and you know, they're going to want to make their film and not the studio's film. But that being said, I mean, look at someone like Patty Jenkins. You know, here's an Oscar-winning director who was able to play within the studio system and do everything right. I don't know. The part of one of the biggest aspects of this news item to me is that apparently they offered Ben Affleck the directorial role first, and he passed on it, which makes sense, I think. From a certain standpoint, for Ben Affleck to not want to direct the Flash film.
Right. Well, because he bailed on the Batman film, so what would he look like if he all of a sudden picked up the Flash?
I wouldn't even say he bailed on it. I think it was a mutual decision, because...
No, he bailed.
You think so? Well, he said he couldn't direct and be in the costume at the same time.
Yeah, so therefore he bailed.
All right. Don't talk about Ben Affleck that way.
Leave Affleck
alone. No, it makes sense, and yet it also makes me wonder, like, what is his current standing in relationship with Warner Brothers like? Like, I keep hearing these rumors also that, like, his last Batman film as Batman is going to be Suicide Squad 2, which seems like a weird place for him to have, you know, play Batman for the last time. You think it would be something like Flashpoint?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, the rumors going around are that Ben Affleck's last appearance as Batman will be in Suicide Squad 2, and that Jake Gyllenhaal is going to take over for the Batman role, which is still going to be in the DC Cinematic Universe or whatever it's
Those
called.
are the current rumors.
Those are bullshit. That's bullshit. I hope that doesn't happen, because again, there are rumors saying that the studio has soured on Ben Affleck, but I hope they also recognize that Ben Affleck is one of the greatest things about these movies, and that he's done a fantastic job in the role, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still depressed that we don't have a Ben Affleck Batman movie, because I think that would have been great. Again, I still love Argo. I still love The Town. A lot of people I know who don't like Ben Affleck have never seen those movies. The Town was a great, like, crime thriller. You know?
Right.
That's what Batman needs to be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like we always talk about this. This news always comes up with Ben Affleck.
Every other week there's a new Ben Affleck Batman rumor. So.
Yeah. It's just, I
can understand why he passed on Flashpoint.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still balking at the idea of them even making a Flashpoint movie, saying it's too early to reboot. But then you had mentioned earlier that, you know, the Flash trying to save his mother is actually a great origin point.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Like, because, you know, we have the Flash from Justice League, and he definitely knows how to use his powers. As he continues to develop them and learn and experiment more about what he can do, he's going to discover time travel. And of course, that's going to lead to him trying to save his mom, obviously.
And time travel is an interesting aspect that no superhero film has quite touched on yet.
I also think that
other than maybe Doctor Strange
exactly.
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I also think that Flashpoint doesn't necessarily need to lead to a reboot.
I think they'll use it to fix at least some of the problems that they have with the universe.
I mean, if they use it as sort of like the transition between Affleck and Gyllenhaal, I mean, if they're going that route anyway, I guess do it that way. It makes sense story-wise, or it could make sense story-wise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, all right. I think that does it for that news. There was a report. I forget who did the report.
It was John Schnepp from Collider.
That's right. Yeah, Collider News. He has stated that Tom Holland was on the set of the Venom movie shooting for about 2 days. And while his initial report was that Spider-Man was going to be in the Venom film, he's kind of walked it back and is now claiming that it's going to be Peter Parker that's in the Venom film.
Yeah, he said that he never suited up as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
While he was on set.
So it makes me wonder if this is where we get like the introduction to the Daily Bugle or something like that. Because we've seen some set photos. I think the first official photo of Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock showed him with a journalist pad and pen.
Yeah.
And he's asking questions about the organization that created some Venom offspring characters. And so I think maybe it might be like an after credits thing. It would be cool. But I'm speculating right now and saying that I think that Tom Holland will probably be Peter Parker in the film, and he'll meet up with Tom Hardy at the Daily Bugle. I bet you like Tom Hardy switches to a photographer, a photojournalist for the Bugle at that time. Maybe freelance or something like that.
Eddie Brock is a photographer, right?
Yeah, in the comics, he was a photojournalist for the Daily Bugle, like a rival photographer for Peter Parker. So I think that's probably what's going on here, to the best of my assumptions, I would think. But that's great, because I know we were complaining a lot when this movie was first announced that the initial reports were that they were setting it outside of the Spider-Man universe, that Spider-Man was not going to be in it. So the fact that Sony is deciding to like tie it in to the greater Spider-Man and MCU universe is just fantastic. Even if it's just a cameo, I think it'll still be an interesting story, has a great cast and talent behind the camera. And if, we get that cameo, just that's kind of best case scenario.
If the Venom movie is rated R, like, do you think this is a good thing?
I don't think you need to go R with it necessarily.
Okay.
Especially if it's going to be part of the greater MCU.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. All right, so Cloak and Dagger on Freeform, that got a release date. It's going to be June 7th this summer. It's a little bit later than I thought it was going to be. It feels like forever since we got that first trailer.
Yeah, wasn't it like almost a year maybe? No.
Yeah, it'll be a year between the first trailer and when the show debuts on Freeform.
Okay.
So they gave us a little sneak peek. It was interesting. It was like a 2-minute preview, and we get to see how Tyrone and Tandy meet as teenagers. According to the trailer, they've already met. I guess he saved her as a kid, and it seems like the Roxxon facility like leaked into the ocean where Tandy was drowning, and that's how they get their powers. So it's not going to be drug experimentation or anything like that. And what's interesting here is that in the clip that they showed, Tandy and Tyrone meet at a high school party, like a after hours middle of the woods kegger, and
teenage drinking. What's going on?
It happens, man. They switched it up, though, because in the comics, they were both runaways, and Tyrone was initially going to rob Tandy before she was attacked by some other people, and he defended her. But in this one, they switched it up where Tandy is actually the thief, and she steals Tyrone's wallet in a scam.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. They kind of flipped the script there. And Tyrone seems more like, the goody two-shoes guy with, the Letterman jacket and everything that seems to be going right. He's like kind of like a jock guy. We notice that he goes up to buy beer, but he's not buying it for himself. He's buying it for the girl that he's meeting at the party.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. He finds out his wallet has been stolen by Tandy, so he chases her. And then he grabs her hand, and that's when I think their powers first manifest, where her hand glows and his hand has like darkness emanating from it. And underneath, it was a cool effect. Underneath his Letterman jacket, there was darkness like spilling out of it as well.
I didn't see that. I couldn't see any of the darkness when I watched the clip.
No? Well,
no.
You need a better monitor?
Maybe.
Then?
I don't know.
You need to turn up the brightness on your phone?
It was on my phone. It was pretty small.
Yeah.
That's cool. I need to watch it again.
I mean, it wasn't a long enough clip to kind of tell how the chemistry is between the two, which needs to be spot on. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't even really tell how the acting was or anything. But
I definitely got an impression of their acting ability. Tandy, she seems very like Disney Channel kind of actress, you know. She's just, you know, big-eyed and you know, but I thought the guy who plays Tyrone, and I don't know the actor's name, but I thought his performance was pretty good. It was subdued for sure.
Yeah, it was toned down. He played it very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what exact same impression that I got. Like, it wasn't over the top. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like acting. It was like, this is what this guy is really like.
Yeah.
Like a real person.
Yeah, definitely. I am a little bit confused as to why they changed the origin, but I guess we'll see how that plays out in June. So we'll probably schedule a Duel episode around that time. We were thinking Cloak and Dagger versus Hawk and Dove. So
this is probably like the worst matchup we've ever done. The most mismatched matchup.
You think so? Because Hawk and Dove are going to go down?
Right? No, because people want to see characters fight who have like similar power sets.
Yeah.
These characters have completely different power sets, but they're both like duos. They both have TV shows coming out around the same time. So I'm curious. I'm always curious to see occasionally like who would win and, you know, just characters who you wouldn't think would fight each other.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So, yeah, look forward to that later on in the summer, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Shazam casting.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not exactly new news that Mark Strong is going to be Dr. Sivana. It was recently confirmed by the actor. For a while, it was, like, in negotiations, and no one ever actually said this was happening, but recently, Mark Strong, I think, is the one who said, yeah, he's playing Dr. Sivana.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to see him get another shot at playing a DC bad guy after Green Lantern.
And he was a great Sinestro.
He was a great Sinestro.
He was like the best part of that movie.
That little tease at the end
with the yellow ring.
With the yellow ring was so fantastic.
It was a huge tease.
It made me think that the movie was better than it actually was walking out of the theater. Yeah, I'm excited that he gets this second shot. He is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing what kind of take they go with Dr. Sivana, because like
I don't know much about the character, but you've described him as like Lex Luthor-ish.
He's the mad scientist, but typically like they depict him with like mousy teeth and like a giant head. And he's just like really small and stuff. But like in the New 52, he was much more grounded. He wasn't mousy looking at all. He had like a unique lightning bolt scar. He almost had like power, like he could see magic. It was an interesting take. I hope they go that route with him.
It's interesting. It's like I almost feel like he would make a better Lex Luthor than the current DC Cinematic Universe Lex Luthor with Jesse Eisenberg.
Dr. Sivana is Shazam's Lex Luthor. They're almost the same character, especially like the Silver Age Lex Luthor. You know?
Yeah, or the mad scientist version.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good casting. The Wizard was also cast, and it's the guy who played Bobby Fish in Luke Cage.
Yeah. I guess he's also
aficionado.
He's also in what's the TV show's name? This Is Us or something.
Oh,
like
is
that.
It? Oh, okay.
That cannot be the TV show's name. I don't know, but I recognize the actor. I recognize him, and it's one more thing that kind of points to me that they are going the New 52 route, because in the New 52, the unnamed Wizard is he's black.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. He's the one who gives his powers to Shazam. Originally, pre-New 52, the Wizard's name was Shazam. And he was like, this Gandalf-looking wizard.
Oh, right, yeah.
But in the New 52, he's very African-looking, so it's pretty cool that they're going this route.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great take, then. The only thing I've ever seen the actor in was Luke Cage, and he was a great character in that show. So, yeah, that's it for that news. Let's move on to the Black Lightning pilot, which you saw.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
It feels very far removed from the shows like Arrow or Flash or Supergirl, because it's not like a teen show to me.
Yeah.
Like, to me, this is much closer to like Luke Cage than it is to like Supergirl.
Does that gel with the CW's target demo?
I don't think it does, but I don't care because it's good. It was a really good episode.
Yeah.
It was really relevant, and especially during these times. And it dealt with gangs and just the fact that you have this middle-aged man with superpowers, like protecting his daughters. Like, I have 2 daughters. I could totally relate with that. I thought it was a really, really good pilot. Mm-hmm. To me, it's probably the best pilot that CW has done in terms of its superhero shows.
So you're going to continue watching it?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not watching the other shows right now. Like, I'm going to be totally screwed at the end of this year when we do our Brothers Award and I have to pick a favorite show.
You're going to have to binge those shows. What's his power set in the show? Does he have, like, the force field?
Yeah, so based on the trailers, I didn't think he was going to have his force field. And I guess this is kind of almost a spoiler. Because it is sort of a surprise that he has his force field.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has his force field.
Yeah, it's a spoiler. He has his force field.
No, that's great news. Like, it's good for people who may have been interested in watching the show.
Yeah. It's definitely more faithful than I would have thought. The force field thing is the biggest thing for me.
That's cool because he's like bulletproof.
Yeah.
So in the way it's even more like Luke Cage than I would have thought.
Yeah, it is
very cool. I may have to check it out. I don't know. I might just have you tell me
I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Like if I have to watch friggin' Luke Cage and the Punisher and stuff, you could watch one DC show.
Hey, I'll watch a DC show that I can binge. Because I don't like, waiting around every week.
Or the one binge season 2 of Arrow.
All right, we'll see. All right, and I watched. I'm like 7 or 8 episodes into Runaways. It's a 10-episode season, and has
it already been completed?
It's already been completed. So I'm watching it because I can binge it, of course. And I don't know how much do you know about the original comic series?
Only what you told me.
It's written by Brian K. Vaughan. I really liked that first arc because of the suspense that it had. Basically, this group of kids find out that their parents are supervillains, and they witness them sacrifice this girl to their ancient god, and they get busted, and they end up fleeing. They become runaways. They run away from home, steal things from their parents. Like each parent group is like an archetype supervillain. You have like your time travelers, your mad scientists, your corrupt businessmen, things like that. And they're like constantly on the run, staying just barely half a step ahead of the parents the whole time.
Are their parents trying to hurt their children?
They're trying to get them back. Sometimes they hurt them and things like that. They don't necessarily want to, but it's an interesting relationship. They both struggle with it, both the kids and both the parents. So it was an action-packed comic, I felt. That was pretty funny. The show was nothing like that. I don't even know why they call it Runaways, because they never run away from home. Like, they see their parents sacrifice the girl, but they don't get caught doing it necessarily for the majority of the first season. So it's basically them like discovering their abilities and powers and stuff like that, but without having a reason to use them because the parents don't even know that they know about them, And they're really humanizing the parents in this. Like in the comics, they were kind of like supervillain cliches. But in this show, they're really humanized. They're very much their own characters. And it makes me think, and this is just speculation on my part, that they're going to like team up at the end of the series or something like that.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's definitely different from the comic. It's not as exciting, I would say, but it's probably a little bit more interesting character-wise because they delve a lot deeper into, these more three-dimensional people. It's hard to explain. But overall, I'm just slightly disappointed. We'll see what happens as I finish that first season. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on it.
How's the acting? How is this?
The acting is phenomenal. Those teenage actors, those kids are great. And same with the parents.
Because that was the one thing I was nervous about looking at the trailers leading up to the show. Was like, this is some Narnia shit.
No, it doesn't even come off that way.
And then like
during the actual episode.
That's good.
Yeah.
Then like the mom was like, teenagers, who cares what their parents are? I forget what she was saying, but it was just not good delivery.
No, it's just great acting all around.
That's good.
It has a super high production budget, which kind of confuses me why they would give such a budget to the Runaways and not give it to the Inhumans or something like that. Inhumans, for me, being a much more important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe title than the Runaways. But
it's Hulu versus ABC, I guess.
Yeah, apparently Hulu and Netflix they have the big budgets. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the news. Oh, actually, now that we talked about those shows, let's go into our question of the week. So the question is, which Marvel or DC television series do you think, and this is throughout history, which one of those do you think had the strongest pilot episode and why? So those of you who have seen superhero shows, which one do you think started out in the best way and really pulled you in for the rest of the series? I have my opinions, and we want to hear yours.
I definitely have mine. I thought Black Lightning was really good, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite pilot episode.
Yeah. Go ahead and reach out to us on our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Just do a search for Dynamic Duel Podcast, and you'll find us on those platforms. Or you can email us your answer at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize with their name on it next week that we post to social media. Definitely do this. We didn't have too many answers to our Black Widow question, so it's super easy to do. Like think of the most easiest things in the world to do. Like there's breathing, sleeping,
and answering questions.
Right above that has got to be answering questions on Facebook with your opinion. So we honestly,
or Instagram.
We want to hear from you guys. It gives us a great, I guess, fodder to discuss.
Yeah, because honestly, I didn't even think about Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised at myself.
I know. I feel
dumb.
I feel stupid.
So I love hearing other people's feedback because we
discuss perspectives that never would have been discussed on the show otherwise.
Right.
So definitely do that. All right, and let's go ahead and get into our Flash versus Quicksilver debate. Okay, upset of the century about to happen.
Not gonna happen.
So the Flash versus Quicksilver, the way we go about figuring out who's gonna win here is basically take their stats for each character, plug them into a spreadsheet, run 1,000 simulations using the Monte Carlo method, which basically plots their stats randomly along a bell curve. And we add them all up, and whoever gets the highest numbers at the end wins.
It's science.
It's math. We do that 1,000 times, and whoever wins the most matches out of those 1,000 battles, we declare the winner between the two characters.
Right.
So it's no fan votes, no feats, nothing like that. It's just stats. And before we run those simulations, Jonathan and I like to speculate on how we think one of those matches would go.
Right.
So we'll get into that. Before we do, we like to give a quick overview of each character, let you guys know about their history and their powers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So who goes first this time?
I think you went first last time with the Punisher.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I will start off with the Flash.
Okay,
so Barry Allen was born 2 weeks late to his parents, Nora and Henry Allen. He had a twin brother, Malcolm, who was born the same day, but was given to a family of criminals, the Thawns, in a different hospital room because their baby had died during childbirth. The Allens' doctor lied to Nora and Henry, telling them that Malcolm was the one who had died. So Malcolm went on to be raised by this criminal family, the Thawns, this horrible upbringing, while Barry was the lucky one. His parents, Nora and Henry, were good to him, and he had a happy childhood, up until his mother was mysteriously murdered when Barry was just 11. His father, Henry, was wrongfully blamed for the crime and imprisoned, and Barry was raised by a close friend of the family, Police Captain Daryl Fry. Barry never believed that his father murdered his mother and dedicated his life to proving his father's innocence. Inspired by Daryl to join the police force, Barry studied forensic science and got a job working in the Crime Scene Investigations Department. CSI, Central City. So, one night when Barry was working late in his forensics lab, he was struck by lightning and doused in lab chemicals. He woke up in the hospital to find that he was able to move at incredible speeds up to, and in some instances beyond, the speed of light. He became the crime-fighting superhero known as the Flash. He has a huge, long history. He's been around forever. A few storylines.
That's the Silver Age, right?
Yeah.
Jay Garrick was before him.
Yeah, he basically stared the Silver Age.
Yeah.
And actually, in pre-New 52 comics, he actually chose the name The Flash because he read the comic books featuring the Flash, featuring Jay Garrick, the Flash.
Oh my god.
Growing up. And it turns out that the writer was just channeling stories from another dimension, Earth 2, where the Justice Society lived.
Okay. Is that where Green Lantern got his name too?
No.
Freaking stupid. All right.
So probably one of the Flash's biggest storylines is Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
So Barry's love interest was Iris Allen. He eventually married her, and she learned his superhero identity because he spoke in his sleep. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm the Flash.
I'm gonna get you. She kept his secret, though, and he was unaware that she knew. He eventually told her his secret of his own free will, and together they learned that she had one of her own. She was originally born in the 30th century and was sent to our time as a child. Yeah. Iris was seemingly killed by an evil reverse Flash known as Professor Zoom. Real name, Eobard Thawne, a descendant of Barry's twin brother Malcolm.
A descendant?
Yeah.
Huh.
Zoom was from the future and was obsessed by both the Flash and Iris. Barry killed Zoom in retaliation for killing Iris by breaking Zoom's neck, and he was put on trial by the public. He was found guilty, and the Flash fled to the future, where he found his wife. It turns out she wasn't killed by Zoom. Zoom just brought her to her original time. She was alive and well.
Oh. Huh.
And their happiness didn't last long, however. A being known as the Anti-Monitor captured the Flash and brought him back to his normal time. The Flash was held captive to prevent him from using his dimension-hopping abilities to stop the Anti-Monitor's plans to destroy all dimensions using an antimatter cannon. Barry eventually escaped his prison and used his speed to siphon the energy from the cannon, sacrificing himself for all of reality and merging with the Speed Force, which his sidekick and successor, Wally West, would later learn was the source of their speed.
Huh.
Yeah. So the Flash was dead for like decades. Like when I started reading comics, the Flash was Wally West, and I didn't really know too much about Barry Allen. But he mysteriously returned to life during an event known as Final Crisis, in which the villain Darkseid used the anti-life equation to enslave humanity. Though he helped stop Darkseid, he was unaware of why or how he was brought back to life, how he was able to return from death. It turns out that Professor Zoom, a living anomaly who has always managed to outrace death, was able to reignite Barry's consciousness within the Speed Force using his own speed. Apparently,
that makes sense.
Barry's original sacrifice was what created the Speed Force, and Zoom was able to shape Barry's reforming body within the Force and create a negative Speed Force that he was able to control.
The science behind the Flash has always been ridiculous.
Shut up.
Like that's a paradox too.
No, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the Professor Zoom is a complete paradox. He absolutely is.
And there's a difference between.
Shut up. I'm reading. Zoom revealed to Barry that it was him who killed his mother, and that he was going to kill everyone else Barry loved. It took the effort of 7 speedsters total, running through the Speed Force, breaking the time barrier to reach and stop Zoom.
Wait, so why did he reform him just to try to kill him again?
Because he hates him that much, and he wanted to create the negative Speed Force.
What does the negative Speed Force do?
It's a negative speed. Shut up! I'm reading. So that act of them like breaking through the time barrier to stop Zoom turned them into a lightning bolt, those 7 speedsters, and that's what struck Barry to turn him into the Flash. They went and eventually captured Zoom.
Okay, gotcha.
With Zoom caught and trapped, the Flash traveled back in time to save his mother, Nora, from being murdered in an event known as Flashpoint. This single act caused an immense ripple effect that changed the entire timeline of the DC universe and caused the Flash to lose his powers. With no reason to become a forensic scientist, Barry was never hit by the lightning bolt and never became the Flash.
Oh.
Awakened and confused in the new reality he accidentally created, Barry sought the aid of Bruce Wayne, who he learned was killed as a child, an act that caused his father, Dr. Thomas Wayne, to become Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So together they recreate the scenario that gave Barry his power using an electric chair instead of a lightning bolt. It worked. He got his power back. And so together, the two of them together, try and reform the Justice League to create a team powerful enough to stop Zoom, whom Barry believes is responsible for the timeline change. They have to do all of this while surviving an all-out war between Aquaman's Atlanteans and Wonder Woman's Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
As they run out of time to return the timeline to normal, Zoom reveals himself and the truth that Barry is the one who created this timeline. With Batman's help, Flash defeats Zoom, travels back in time, and stops himself from saving his mom. In this new timeline that unfolds, apparently, is what became the New 52 continuity.
Gotcha.
Possibly. It may have been created by Dr. Manhattan or the Flash.
Is that everything?
Well, his powers.
Okay.
Like, his powers... The Speed Force allows Barry to move and think at near limitless speed. He's cocooned in an aura that protects him from friction buildup and kinetic impacts. He can vibrate his molecules fast enough to move through solid objects and appear invisible and even shift into other dimensions. He has a really fast metabolism, which grants him a regenerative healing ability, and he can generate cyclones by spinning quickly. He could also manipulate the electrical energy generated by the Speed Force when he moves for a variety of effects, including, projecting arcs of electricity, creating magnetic fields, or creating blinding flashes of light.
So he can manipulate the electrical energy that is created when he runs through the Speed Force.
Yeah.
With the Speed Force. Whatever the fuck the Speed Force is. How was that electrical energy made? It just is when he runs through? Mm-hmm. And he can like shoot it out, or what can he do with it? He can shock people?
I've seen him shock people before. I know, like, if he spins fast enough so that he like sort of like catches his tail of the energy, he could like sort of like launch an electric beam at you.
That's weird. His powers are so fucking vague. Jeez. This is one of the reasons why I do not like the Flash. He's so convoluted and vague. He can do almost anything.
He's one of the most powerful characters in DC. There's a reason he's on like the Justice League pantheon. He's one of the founding members of the Justice League.
Right.
He's insanely powerful. There's no way you're gonna win.
What else can he do?
Well, that's pretty much everything.
I'm not impressed.
Yeah, you are.
First of all, his origin makes no sense. Most of his stories make no sense.
What are you talking about?
His powers make no sense.
Wait, what?
It's like, oh, you need him to run around the world and, what is it, like an infinite mass punch or something like that? What does that even mean? I know that the faster you go, according to like, E equals MC squared, states that the faster you go, the more mass you have. So it stipulates that at some point he gets infinite mass and then he punches you. But that makes no sense because it would cause a black hole. It's just...
The Speed Force negates all this scientific mumbo-jumbo you're talking about.
The Speed Force is the biggest flux capacitor thing. It's like, oh, don't think about this because the Speed Force allows it. Whatever.
Haters gonna hate.
Quicksilver is
gonna hate.
Quicksilver is much easier to understand, and I think therefore a better character, much more interesting. So, Quicksilver, his real name is Pietro Maximoff. He and his twin sister Wanda Maximoff, their early past is still somewhat of a mystery. It was long suspected that the two were the children of Magneto and his wife Magda. However, they were really born to Natalia Maximoff and an unknown father in Serbia. An evil scientist called the High Evolutionary kidnapped them as babies and performed genetic experiments on them, granting them each special abilities that would be unlocked later in life.
It was just recently learned that Magneto wasn't their father, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was bullshit.
Yeah. It's complicated, and it really... The change in their origin is really just Marvel's convoluted way to legitimize their origins in the MCU.
Yeah.
Personally, I much preferred when Quicksilver was Magneto's son.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, the story is that, so the High Evolutionary kidnapped him and experimented on him, but he was displeased with the results, and he ended up giving the children to their aunt and uncle, Django and Mariah Maximoff. It was later made to look like they were Magneto's kids when Magneto's wife Magda wrongly believed she gave birth to them in a fabrication during her grief over losing their real daughter, Anya. Anya died. Anya was Magneto's and Magda's daughter who died in a fire. You remember X-Men, the X-Men Apocalypse movie? Uh-huh. His wife and the daughter that died through the bow and arrow? That pretty much happened in the comics, but it was through fire, not through a bow and arrow. Uh-huh. But yeah, so she was grief-stricken. She thought she gave birth to Pietro and Wanda. It wasn't the case. Anyway, so the High Evolutionary, according to him, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are just, quote, masquerading as mutants, when in reality, they're the results of genetic experimentation. So they grew up with their aunt and uncle in a Romani camp that traveled the Serbian transient border.
They're gypsies.
Yeah. Times were pretty tough for them, and it led to Pietro stealing food for them to survive. Enraged villagers attacked their camp, and Wanda, unable to control her powers at the time, accidentally started a fire that burned everything down and killed their family that raised them. So Traumatized, they fled the area and wandered Central Europe, mentally blocking out much of what happened in their early childhood. They were later discovered by Magneto, who defended them from an angry mob who suspected them of being witches, or Scarlet Witch of being a witch, and Quicksilver defended her. So Pietro and his sister joined Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with the villain names Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They fought together on multiple occasions against the X-Men. However, they never truly believed in Magneto's dream of mutant superiority. They left the team and were inducted with another former villain turned hero, Hawkeye, and they became the second generation of Avengers led by Captain America after the initial team was disbanded. Pietro was always somewhat of an ill-tempered hothead, but his time training and fighting alongside Captain America leveled him out a bit, and he came to see himself as a real hero, though humanity's constant distrust of mutants still frustrated him. During his time with the Avengers, Pietro was nearly killed by an attack from the Sentinels. The Avengers thought he was dead, but he was happened upon by Crystal of the Inhuman royal family. You know who Crystal is?
Yeah.
Medusa's sister?
Yeah.
She nursed him back to health in the city of Attilan, and there Pietro and Crystal fell in love and had a daughter named Luna. It wasn't long after Luna's birth that Pietro was confronted by Magneto again, who claimed to have learned that he was their father, and attempt to recruit him back into the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
I didn't realize it was this late in the game when they learned that Magneto was their father.
Yeah, it was after they already had left the Brotherhood. So, but Pietro, he denounced his father and instead just joined the Inhumans militia. His relationship with Crystal soured over time, however, due in part to the mental manipulation of Maximus, Black Bolt's brother, who has limited telepathic abilities.
Right.
Crystal ended up cheating on Pietro, and in a rage, she was also manipulated. In a rage, he left his wife and child to join the West Coast Avengers. Crystal ended up following him and joined the Avengers as well.
Oh, that's right. I remember that time when she was in the Avengers.
Yeah. So they were both free of Maximus's mind games. But they were split once again, though, during the Onslaught event, where many non-mutant heroes seemingly sacrificed their lives to stop that psychic entity. But Crystal and the rest of the heroes, however, were merely in a separate dimension, and when she returned, she ended up leaving Pietro for another man, the Black Knight. Later, his sister, the Scarlet Witch, went insane due to the supposed loss of her children, and she destroyed the Avengers Mansion and killed several of the Avengers. Professor X tried to help the Scarlet Witch but couldn't, and to protect his sister, Quicksilver convinced her to warp reality to one in which everyone was happy.
Oh, is this House of M?
Yeah, this is the House of M event where Magneto ruled the world. The reality eventually came crashing down, however, when the heroes started remembering the truth, and Wanda ended up restoring reality, but only after stripping away the powers of most of the mutants on Earth, despite Magneto. Quicksilver was one of these mutants, so without his powers,
that sucks.
He fell into a deep depression and tried to commit suicide by jumping off a building. It didn't work. And his ex-wife Crystal found him and again brought him to Attilan for medical attention. There, Quicksilver asked Black Bolt for his permission to undergo Terrigenesis and become inhuman, since he could not stand to live life as a normal human being.
But he wasn't inhuman. How could he undergo Terrigenesis?
A mutant has never gone through Terrigenesis, so he thought it might work. But Black Bolt declined because he thought it might produce catastrophic results, which it kind of did, because after Black Bolt declined, in retaliation, Quicksilver stole the Terrigen crystals and regained his powers to an extreme extent, where he moved so fast he was able to time travel. He used the Terrigen Mist to try and restore the abilities of mutants all over the world, but the mutations he was causing were proving volatile, and Quicksilver went mad due to the prolonged Terrigen exposure, wherein the crystals themselves started growing from his body. A mutant from his old X-Factor team named Richter was able to remove the crystals from Pietro's body using his geokinetic powers. He was able to control Earth. He was in the Logan movie. But he was able to remove the crystals that way, and Quicksilver's physical and mental states were returned to normal. So he rejoined the Avengers, where he's mostly been since after that. As far as powers go, Quicksilver has super speed, obviously. He was clocked at covering half of the Earth's distance in a minute and a half, which was declared not his top speed. So I clock his speed at around 150 miles per second.
So that's not impressive at all.
So he's slower than the Flash, but as his powers are genetically based, he gets all the physical accoutrements that come with being able to run at those hypersonic speeds, which means enhanced durability and strength. He can lift about 1 ton, and his body is immune to the force of friction. He creates powerful gusts of wind with each move and can create winds as powerful as a cyclone. He can also vibrate his molecular structure fast enough to phase into objects and break them apart.
What?
And he can also...
How long has he had that power? He's never had that power before.
Yeah, he has, actually.
What?
Yeah. So there.
Oh, what a ripoff of the Flash.
Nope.
Holy shit.
And he could also think at super speeds, too. So...
Oh, can he think at light speed?
He has moved faster than light speed before.
So is the Flash.
Traditionally, though, Quicksilver, he doesn't move like the speed of light. Just because that's just fucking cheating. You know? And Marvel knows it. They don't try to overpower their characters, you know?
So how fast can he run again?
I have him clocked at about 150 miles per second.
150 miles per second.
Yeah.
So
that's like light... standard. Like, he's gone way faster than that, and at some points he's gone way slower than that at 750 miles per hour, which is around the speed of sound.
Oh, that's about how sound.
Yeah, that's about as fast as he could go in his initial appearances, but he's slowly been getting.
I know he got faster.
Yeah. When Crystal was gone due to the Onslaught event, he was experimented on again by the High Evolutionary, who experimented on him as a kid, and gave him Isotope E, which enhanced his powers. So he doesn't actually know the upper limit of his speed.
I know it made him faster than a Quinjet.
When do you ever really need to go faster than 150 miles per second?
Dude, all the fucking time. Really? All the fucking time.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah. When you're the Flash, all the time.
Nah. Like, Quicksilver can do things with not that much speed, and he gets it done just fine.
Yeah, the Flash, he doesn't need to move that fast all the time. He moves as fast as he needs to. You know? The speed of light, of course, is 186,000 miles per second. It's way faster than 150 miles per second. So I don't understand how you think you have a chance in this match.
Because you don't need speed. Sometimes all you need is a well-placed punch to the back of the head. A punch, mind you, that can lift a ton. Can the Flash lift a ton?
No, that's not.
Well, then you're going to lose.
That's not really how his powers work.
Right, let's go ahead and get into the speculation.
Okay.
So when we speculate these fights, we don't account for environment because we don't take stats for the environment. So we just assume that these fights take place in a non-environment area, and they start off about 50 yards apart. They know that each other are threats, but they don't know really anything else about each other.
Okay.
I'm interested in seeing how this will go. Okay, so they start 50 yards apart.
Okay.
Who throws the first punch?
I'll let you have it. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. All right. So they see each other. They're like, okay. And Quicksilver's, he's just, he's brash and he's impulsive.
Right.
So, and he knows that the guy's a threat. So he's just going to go, whoom.
Okay, so.
Just fly towards him with super speed.
Yeah.
And punch him in the back of the head.
Yeah, okay. So.
Yeah, okay.
So Quicksilver is moving in slow motion towards the Flash.
What do you mean slow motion?
Yeah, he's moving in slow motion towards the Flash. And the Flash, meanwhile, is thinking at light speed to realize, hey, this guy's fast. Hey, he's analyzing everything, about Quicksilver's body. Understanding because he has, as a forensic scientist, he has knowledge of full anatomy and stuff like that. So he's deducing all of this as the Quicksilver is moving in slow speed towards him. So he lets him get close.
You know what this is like? This is like the Justice League movie where the Flash is running, but Superman, who is stronger than the Flash, can still spot him moving, and so Quicksilver's gonna punch him.
Oh yeah, that's like, so you know how Superman saw the Flash running? That's what Flash is doing to Quicksilver. Okay, so so right when Quicksilver's throwing his punch, Flash just like moves to the side, and it's like, whoa. And then let's Quicksilver make a full swing, and then Flash bitch slaps him across the face.
Yeah, he slaps him, but Quicksilver is more durable than the Flash, so it doesn't even really hurt the Flash. And little was Flash prepared while he was doing this bullshittery. I just made that word up. I don't know what that means. He didn't catch the gust of wind that trailed Quicksilver, because when Quicksilver moves, he moves violently. Like he creates gusts of winds wherever he goes. He'll tear up the floor of wherever he's running, because he's this super powerful force when he gets moving that fast.
No, see, the Flash did know this because he saw him moving in slow motion, and he saw like the effect it was having on the environment around him. So he did anticipate that, and he sidestepped it. And then
How did he see wind? No, he was so focused on Quicksilver that he didn't see the wind. So he sidesteps, tries to smack Quicksilver, doesn't even phase Quicksilver, and all of a sudden he gets blown back by the cyclone gust.
Okay, he gets blown back, and then he just runs back to where he was a second later. Less than a second later.
He doesn't get blown back at the speed of light, so
No.
he there's not enough time to recover there, because Quicksilver makes a quick right turn.
As he's blown back, he spins really fast, so he stabilizes like a gyroscope, and he just he stays in the air for a little bit, and then he slowly drops down. As he's spinning though, he harnesses some of his electrical power that he generates and zaps it at Quicksilver, who can't outrun lightning. I'm sorry.
He's outrun Thor's lightning before. I've seen
What?
it. Yeah. So he doesn't know his upper limit. Sometimes he's fast enough to outrun lightning.
You're using that to your advantage. That he doesn't know his upper limit.
So he's moving so fast to outrun lightning that he moves so fast that Flash gets overconfident.
No. He's too busy trying to dodge the lightning that he stumbles. The Flash uses that
Stumbles?
Yeah, to land safely, then go after him and just pummel the shit out of him.
Oh, pummel him with his little baby weak fists?
They're not weak. He's not weak.
Hey, is he stronger than a normal man?
No.
Then they're baby weak fists.
But when you're getting
Because
hit,
Quicksilver's been hit by the likes of Thing, strong dudes, and he's durable enough to take it.
What? Okay. Well, I mean, Flash isn't stronger than your average guy, but enough hits and that hurts. Enough hits and that hurts.
Enough mosquito bites.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, that's true.
No, dude, the Quicksilver is not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. It's not a mosquito bite.
Okay. So while he's getting pummeled and it's not hurting him that much, he still has enough resolve and stamina and fortitude to swing back, and this time connects with Flash right in the dome piece, and it hurts a lot more than what the Flash's punches are doing to him.
No. So the Flash sees him swinging.
Oh my God!
And then that's
You act like the Flash has never been punched in his entire life.
And then-
I've seen the Flash get punched.
And then that's when he goes intangible and moves through the fist, and then
No. Okay, so the fist moves through the Flash's head. Yes.
Okay.
And then Quicksilver vibrates at a counter vibration and just explodes Flash's brain. That was a bad move on your part.
No, he doesn't explode.
Yeah, it's gonna scramble his brains up.
No.
I'm pretty
No.
sure. Dude, how many times did the Flash trip in the Justice League movie? I suspect he's gonna trip at least once during this fight.
Dude, how many times did Quicksilver fucking get shot to death in the Avengers movie?
He
Oh,
had to.
what? You didn't see that coming? No, see, the Flash is still intangible. His brain isn't going to be affected. I mean, Quicksilver's not
But
that
in the
good.
X-Men movies, Quicksilver moved fast enough to move bullets around and stuff. So,
Well, people like the MCU. People don't like the X-Men films.
all right. What else I got? Okay, so has he kicked him yet? Quicksilver's gonna kick him, and that's gonna be the end of this fight. If Quicksilver ever kicks the Flash, because he has much more leg power than he does.
Well, I was going to
lifting
say,
power.
if he lifts a ton, he probably, leg presses a lot more than that.
Well, he lifts a ton with his legs. He can only lift about 1,000 pounds, half a ton with his arms.
No way.
Yeah.
There's humans who could lift a ton.
What?
Yeah, that's not strong at all.
I think you just made that up.
No, I
there are no
didn't.
humans that can leg lift 2,000 pounds.
No, I think, yeah.
Don't make yourself look dumb by saying things like that.
No, I'm telling the truth.
You better Google the shit out of this and then apologize when we come back after putting in the stats.
What was...
Who?
I think it was Neil Adams. Could almost leg lift a ton.
Neil Adams, the comic book artist?
Yeah.
No. There's no way. He's not a bodybuilder.
No, he works his body out.
You're talking out of your ass right now.
No, totally not. Shit, I'm over here Googling.
You're lucky I don't have my computer right now.
I swear. I swear.
No.
He's almost good enough
just,
to do
just
that.
make your statement.
Or maybe it was like half a ton. Maybe it was half a ton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could be wrong.
I might believe that more, but I still don't believe it. You can apologize after the quick break after we put in the stats to this fight.
All right.
So yeah, basically the last part we were at was whether or not Flash's brains get scrambled.
And they don't.
By Quicksilver after he punches through his head. We'll leave it at that, and we'll put in the stats, and we'll come back to you guys with the winner. All right. All right. So, what did we learn about how much a man can lift with his legs?
I didn't. I was compiling stats. I wasn't. I don't know.
You didn't look it up?
Jeez.
Way to go, man. Look it up real quick.
Okay.
All right. So we ran the 1,000 simulations. We came out with a winner. But first, we're going to find out who the real winner is when Jonathan looks up exactly how much a man can lift with his legs. It's not a ton, I can tell you that. Unless I'm like way off base and comic book artists are like super insanely stronger than I thought they were.
World record for leg press is...
Yes.
2,465 pounds.
Oh, fuck. That's just barely more than a ton.
He did that 10 times in a row.
10 times in a row?
Yeah.
Holy crap. He should be able to run as fast as Quicksilver.
Yeah, dude, I knew I was right. Yeah, Neil Adams could almost leg press a ton.
They need to update Quicksilver's stats because apparently lifting a ton with your legs is not that difficult. And if it doesn't let you run like at supersonic speeds, then
right.
That's not right. Quicksilver should be lifting like 10 tons with his legs.
This guy looks like a really big guy, like fat. He doesn't look muscled at all. This guy can't run as fast as Quicksilver.
Muscle isn't necessarily about like definition.
Well, strength, yeah.
Strength isn't about definition,
right?
So, all right. So you win that round, but do you win the Flash vs. Quicksilver round?
Of course I do.
All I know is that we gave marks to Quicksilver for both durability and strength. So do you want?
And barely durability, because I mean, Flash has a healing factor. He's regenerative.
Quicksilver can heal quickly too, not like at Wolverine levels, which apparently you said the Flash can do because all of DC's guys are overpowered. But
as long as he has, because he heals like the rest of us, through his metabolism. So as long as he has food, he'll heal.
What if he doesn't have food in a non-environment zone?
What
is he gonna do?
He ate.
Is he gonna run to the nearest convenience store?
There you go.
All right.
We did say that Quicksilver was able to, like, on a blow, deliver a higher damage level, just because of his strength.
Yes, yeah, we did say that. You don't want to be like kicked in the back of the head by Quicksilver. It would be like getting kicked by a horse. Probably worse than that.
Way worse than that.
At least 10 tons of leg pressing worth.
It would be like being hit by a train.
Yeah, exactly.
10 tons of leg pressing.
Well, I'm changing his stats on my own since Marvel apparently doesn't know that normal human beings can lift a ton with their legs. So, all right. Do you want to hear the results?
I do.
All right. So the winner of the Flash versus Quicksilver match is
Flash.
Quicksilver.
No, shut up. You always do that.
It was Flash. It was the Flash. He won 769 of the battles out of the 1,000 matches.
769?
Yeah, so he won 76.9% of the matches. Quicksilver won, 20. What is that? 23.1.
Yeah,
I'm guessing. Yeah,
I knew this was gonna happen.
So he won about 3/4 of the.
Dude, when was the last time you won a match? Like, you need to start showing up to these. You're gonna start turning off Marvel fans.
It's fine, because I won like a whole bunch like a few months ago, like in a row. So
that's true.
It'll just happen again. It'll happen again. As a matter of fact, in our next episode, we are doing another duel wherein we are pitting Azrael, which is... Who is Azrael, Jonathan?
I'm still trying to lock down which version of Azrael I'm doing. I don't know too much about the new one, so I'm still doing research, but Azrael is essentially a guy who took over for Batman. He wears a suit that makes him stronger, faster. He carries a sword. I think he's a good matchup for Blade.
Yeah, he's going to go up against Blade, and that will lead into our Blade review, which we're going to do the first week of February, leading up to the Black Panther fight and then the Black Panther movie. So, we're getting into Blade just because he's the one that kind of started it all, and it's Black History Month next month, and kind of paying homage to that first superhero modern movie.
Yeah.
That really got us into this current stream of superhero films that we have going on now. So, look forward to next week, that Azrael versus Blade episode. It's basically Batman versus Blade, but a more lethal Batman.
Yeah, much more lethal Batman.
More lethal, probably less smart Batman against Blade. So that should be exciting. So if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and tell your friends about us, and leave us a review if you feel so inclined. That would just be awesome. We do have a store up with some Marvel and DC television shirts, some Marvel and DC t-shirts that we designed ourselves. Jonathan, he designed some that looks like the Leonardo da Vinci Vitruvian Man, but composed of different Marvel and DC characters.
Yeah.
And I designed some shirts that have the names of like almost every Marvel and DC character you could think of.
There's way more Marvel characters on your shirt than there are on my DC
on the
shirt.
Marvel shirt, yeah. And it kind of spells out the name of the company. So it's pretty cool. So go ahead and look for those by visiting dynamicduel.com. And yeah, check those out. There's a link to the store there. So I think that does it for everything. So we will talk to you guys in a week.
Without further ado, up, and away.
True believers.